The movie starts with the story of an evil witch named Baba Yaga, who abducts and kills young children by sending out her servants known as the Navs, which are half bird, half human beings. The Navs would lure children into the witch's den, where Baba Yaga would devour their souls. Baba Yaga would also use her abilities to erase the memories of the parents of the children whose souls she consumed so that no one would come to look for them. But one boy with a pure and bright soul stood up to Baba Yaga, defeated her, and imprisoned her in the world of the dead. However, Baba Yaga did not give up. She started to look for someone who could help her escape her prison, someone who also had a pure soul, who she could corrupt. Egor is a troubled teenager who lives with his father and new stepfamily after his mom dies. He has recently been experiencing nightmares where his mother often talks to him, asking him to bring her back to life. Egor has another one of these nightmares, and his stepmother, Yulia, checks up on him. That morning, Egor's father, Alexei, asks him to place a hidden camera on top of the cabinet so they can monitor their new nanny. Egor thinks they don't need a nanny since his stepmother has no job. In response, his father tells him to respect his mother, but Egor says Yulia isn't his mother. While walking to school, Egor comes across his schoolmate, Dasha, trying to get her phone back from bullies. Egor rushes to help her, only to be knocked down by the bully, Anton. After school, Egor approaches Dasha to check on her. Still, she tells him that he shouldn't have intervened, insisting that she would have been able to defend herself with a taser in her bag. At home, Egor is shocked to see his baby sister, Varya, on a chair. The new nanny, Tatiana, enters the room and sees Egor. She thinks that Egor had placed the baby on the chair. Egor tries to explain the misunderstanding, but Yulia refuses to listen. Tatiana reassures the stepmother that she has ways of getting through to the children. Later that day, Egor plays in his room, thinking about Dasha as he sends her a friend request on her social media. He goes to the kitchen and finds the nanny vacuuming the floor. Suddenly, she shows up in front of him, shocking Egor. Tatiana intimidates him until his father arrives, and she introduces herself to him. While Egor and his father play basketball in the playground, Alexei emphasizes protecting loved ones as a mark of true masculinity. Egor complains about his father's decision to hire a nanny, and he angrily throws the ball, bouncing it off the basketball court. Just then, a mysterious man from the nearby woods retrieves the ball and throws it back to Egor's father. On a rainy evening, Egor is woken up by a notification on his phone. The phone is connected to the hidden camera, which alerts him of someone's presence nearby. He then sees someone inside his baby sister's room. Curious, he goes to the room, seeing only Varya. However, looking back through the hidden camera on his phone, he sees a figure sitting on the chair. Suddenly, a Nav appears and grabs Egor, which scares him to run back into his bedroom. When the Nav opens his door, he desperately throws his ball to try and hit the Nav but unintentionally hits his stepmother instead. Egor tries to explain what he saw to his father, but since the Nav, he claims to be isn't in the video, his father doesn't believe him, which upsets Egor. Later, he sees a dent on the floor left by the Nav, which tells him what he saw was real. Meanwhile, Dasha sees the bully, Anton, working at the local supermarket. He drops some tomatoes, and his foster guardian scolds him for messing up. The next day, Egor approaches Dasha and tries to talk about how she always tries to stay away from people. However, their conversation is abruptly disrupted when the bullies show up. Egor and Dasha run into the forest, with the bullies still chasing them. Suddenly, Anton stumbles over a trail of red yarn. Just as the two run away, the mysterious man from earlier shows up and warns Anton, threatening him to stay out of the forest. Soon, Egor and Dasha spot an abandoned house deep in the forest. Inside, they find an old furnace. Dasha says her grandmother told her that it was used to burn people alive. Inside the furnace, Egor hears a faint call for help echoing from within, but Dasha can't hear it. Meanwhile, back at Egor's house, Yulia is crocheting but suddenly feels drowsy. As her eyelids start to get heavy, she drops the ball of yarn and finds the room ensnared by an intricate web of red yarn. She quickly checks for Varya in the crib but she isn't there. The ball of yarn rolls towards her on the floor, she pulls on it, and the door creaks open, revealing a dark figure. At the same time, Egor's phone notifies him, and he discovers a distressing sight. His baby sister is left alone on the dining table, surrounded by red yarn. He quickly tells Dasha they should get home, and they rush to leave. However, when they return home, everything appears normal, and Varya is safely nestled in her crib. Dasha soon goes to attend her piano lesson. After escorting Dasha out, Egor is startled to see a baby doll lying in the crib. He enters the kitchen and finds the vacuum cleaner turned on by itself. After turning it off, he hears footsteps approaching. Still, he finds no visible presence, only dents on the floor similar to those from the other night. Egor grabs the vacuum hose and starts flailing it around. Suddenly, the nav grabs the vacuum and throws him across the room, knocking him out. A nav puts Varya inside the old furnace from the forest. Suddenly, Egor wakes from the nightmare, running to his baby sister's room, but her stuff is nowhere to be found. The only thing in the room is a family photograph, wherein Varya suddenly vanishes from the image. Egor goes to the kitchen and anxiously tells his father about their missing baby. But they don't know about any babies. In a desperate attempt, he retrieves his baby sister's pacifier from a kitchen cabinet. As he shows them, it vanishes into thin air. They attempt to reassure and calm him down. However, Egor gets mad at his father, accusing him of quickly forgetting Varya, just like how he seemingly forgot about Egor's mother. Angered by his statement, Alexei punishes him by locking him inside his room. Egor texts Dasha, asking her for help. Dasha quickly agrees to meet him at the playground. However, as she is about to leave, her mother forbids her from going outside to meet Egor, and Dasha reluctantly obeys her order. Meanwhile, at Egor's house, Alexei talks to Tatiana as she convinces him that he did the right thing punishing Egor. However, Alexei is only talking to Yulia. She wants to let Egor out of the room, but Alexei prohibits her. Later, Dasha is at her piano lesson. Her music teacher is Tatiana, Egor's nanny. Her mother calls her, and Dasha witnesses her mother undergoing a transformation, turning into a nav. Then, a nav grabs Dasha from behind. Meanwhile, Egor escapes through his window. He arrives at the playground and sees Dasha, who appears disoriented. Her eyes turn all white, and she pushes him to the ground. Egor tries to wake Dasha up from her trance, and she eventually regains her composure. Egor tells her about his missing baby sister, but to his dismay, Dasha also doesn't remember her. Suddenly, Anton and his friend find them and force them into the forest to enter the mysterious man's house, threatening them with a knife. Dasha defends herself with her taser, threatened by Anton's knife, so Egor volunteers to go inside the house himself. Inside, he finds the house filled with all sorts of things. Egor was checking under the bed when suddenly, a mysterious hand grabbed him, startling him. Then, he calls the others inside. He shows them a bunch of photographs of all of them, which makes them think the mysterious man is a stalker. They also find a framed photo of a woman who looks like Tatiana, Egor's nanny and Dasha's music teacher. The mysterious man enters, and the three successfully take him down. The three start interrogating Mrashnai, the mysterious man, about the lady in the picture frame, and he reveals that she is his deceased wife, who tragically passed away following their daughter's disappearance. Mrashnai explains that he has been tracking the neighborhood's children through photographs. When a child vanishes from the pictures, their family has forgotten them. Dasha researches the story and can relate the kidnappings to a being called Baba Yaga. Afterward, Egor, Dasha, and Anton leave Mrashnai tied up and goes together to the abandoned house. After they leave, the Navs show up in Mrashnai's house, erasing his memories of the past to stop him from interfering with their plan. They go inside the abandoned house to check the old furnace. Inside, he finds a bunch of tangled wires. A blinding light consumes him, then vanishes from sight. Alerted by Egor's shout, Dasha and Anton follow him inside the furnace. They find themselves back at the furnace's entrance, bewildered by their sudden shift in surroundings. Driven by jealousy, the bully insinuates that Egor made up the story of his baby sister's existence to get closer to Dasha. Egor defends himself, but an annoyed Dasha leaves the two boys alone. Egor stumbles upon their family photograph with his baby sister, which shows he is telling the truth. After returning home, Egor enters Varya's room only to find Yulia appearing anxious. When he tries to call out to her, Yulia walks right through him, not noticing him. In Dasha's house, the model from her poster suddenly springs to life, attacking her. Alerted by Dasha's scream, Egor rushes to her aid, only to find her trapped within the poster. The model tries to capture Egor but vanishes into thin air as he shatters Dasha's smartphone. Then, Dasha emerges from the poster unharmed. They realize the furnace they went inside has taken them to an alternate dimension. Unbeknownst to them, Anton has fallen into the clutches of Baba Yaga. Soon, Egor and Dasha return to Mrashnai's house, where they find the man's daughter, Sita, and Varya hiding beneath the bed. Sita explains that Baba Yaga abducts children and brings them to her den. Once forgotten by their families, the children disappear. The Nav arrives, so they hide under the bed. However, Varya cries out, Sita sacrifices herself to divert the Nav's attention, and she is taken to the witch's den. Afterward, Dasha and Egor escape with Varya, masking their scent under a cloak as they go through the forest. Egor catches a glimpse of his mother, but Dasha doesn't see her. Egor runs after her and falls to the ground, realizing he is carrying a plastic baby doll. Dasha arrives, snaps Egor out of his hallucination, and is relieved to find his real baby sister. Meanwhile, Anton wakes up in Baba Yaga's den, and then Sita helps him free from the wires. Egor and Dasha reunite with Anton at the abandoned house and enter the furnace to escape. Initially struggling to open the portal, Egor eventually succeeds. Sita concludes that Egor is the one Baba Yaga is looking for since he can open the bridge between the two worlds. Together, they return to the real world, but Sita vanishes as her father has forgotten her. Soon, Egor arrives home and discovers Varya has become a doll. Yulia has forgotten who he is, enters the room, and Egor presents her with his baby sister's sock, hoping to jog her memory. As Egor prepares to leave, his possessed father blocks his path. Luckily, Yulia intervenes and helps him escape. Later, Egor, Dasha, and Anton meet at the playground, devising a plan to burn Baba Yaga within her den. They seek assistance from the mysterious man, Mrashnai, but the Nav has already erased his memories. However, Mrashnai's memories return when Egor ignites his Sita's lamp. The group ventures to Baba Yaga's den through the furnace, yet the Nav prevents Mrashnai from joining them. Mrashnai's wife is revealed to have transformed into a Nav and works for Baba Yaga. Inside the den, Egor's mother appears, cradling his baby sister. She asks him to sacrifice the baby to reunite, but he refuses. Finally, Egor's mother transforms into Baba Yaga, binding them all with red yarn. With Dasha and Anton's help, Egor sets Baba Yaga ablaze. After returning to the real world, they ignite the abandoned house before returning to their homes. The movie ends with Egor and his new friends capturing a final picture. However, Sita reappears, warning them that Baba Yaga will soon return. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.